Done. So now we're starting. So yeah. So what happened there was so with the previous firmware, which is 1.4.9, I was having real issues with Ethernet, and I still can't work out whether it was me or my setup or something. But I just couldn't get it to work. I also was having issues with provisioning. So I don't know whether the provisioning issues were related to the something to do with the hosting of the provisioning service and the URLs. I'm not sure, but somehow, and also I was having issues with my accounts because I had so many accounts in the back end. But somehow now that's all gone away. I'm using a simple one email, and I've been able to provision devices with no issue. The other thing that seems to have worked, which didn't work from before, and I can't understand why, was that the Ethernet now works fine for me. So I'm able to plug in the Ethernet during operation, and I'm able to also start it up with Ethernet. And in both cases, it connects and stays connected. How's your Ethernet? You had issues with Ethernet, Neil.
I did, and I just really haven't done a lot of testing on it. I tried to set up my system to be able to take the 1.5, and I think I got it. But it was a download on it. And then I just ended up spinning my wheels on a bunch of things. I wanted to shift my network to a guest network because I was turning off my Wi-Fi, and that was causing a bunch of yelps from another room.
I did the same thing, exactly.
And so, but actually the provisioning on that was pretty terrible. It took me about 5 times before it got in. So for some reason it would work on my standard network, but then I'd turn off the standard network and try and get into the guest network. But it turned out the guest and the standard were on the same Wi-Fi channels.
Okay, there you go.
And it should have been that one was off, and it should have been unique. But I think what really got to me in the end is that there's just not enough information on the app to be able to really figure out where you were in the process. So I was having to reset things and start again. And I did get it in, but what actually then happened was that there were 2 networks. So I now have my standard network and my guest network. And when I was trying to reset it back to factory defaults, that wasn't working. So I actually ended up with a whole bunch of other things, and I just had to let it go. And so I haven't really done anything this week. I think it looks a little bit better, 1.5.1, but I also saw some other issues starting to come up, and I just didn't have the time to go into them. So it was really just about coming to listen this morning. And I got to get out to I've got another sensor I'm monitoring elsewhere, and I might have to get out to that next week. It's 1.5 hours north of me. So
well, another earthquake sensor, or
no, my own sort of, or the environmental DIY monitoring a river system. So it's a live sensor with some hydrologists up there measuring water, and we're going into drought here. So this year is a big year for being able to put out sensors on the rivers and do it easily. So anyway, that's just my segue there, was that it's good to see. I mean, John's just amazing with some of the stuff there that he's getting in there, but at the same time, what I really think needs to happen, is that the quality, quality is a really strange issue with software. I mean, if somebody handles it, it just works nicely. But these issues of what do we really want it to be is a big thing. And then how do you, when you've got it, how do you capture that and then monitor it so that when you lose, if something goes wrong, you lose some of the quality, the reliability, then you can actually pinpoint it pretty quickly. So personally, what I think is missing a little bit is this user case of what do we want, which I think you were sort of saying on some things, Andrej, hey, I'm doing a whole bunch of stuff, but is it within the user case?
Right.
Use case. So if the use case is that there's a Puerto Rico earthquake authority or whatever, some user group in Puerto Rico that's going to initialize 40 sensors, then you need to approximate to that in the use case. In the use case, you need to say, hey, test it out for doing 3 sensors being an approximation of 40. But I find in software there's 0, there's 1, there's 2, there's more than 2. In the big cases of some of the things. So I think what's missing, and what I've been working on a little bit, is these testing cases. What exactly do we expect, and how easy is it to actually run it? And so that's sort of my area that I'm volunteering a little bit on, if everybody likes the idea and support.
Yeah, for sure. I think we need a bit of structure there. Absolutely. Well, one of the things is, the real pain for me is Wi-Fi, because of all the things that can can go wrong, it's connectivity, right? In one form or another, I've been using this ADXL sensor for about 4 or 5 years, and with no issues. And the data, I think, we've used successfully. But it's this annoying thing about Wi-Fi, and Ethernet is a new thing we added to the mix only a few months ago. So I can see all sorts of headaches around that.
So on that, I actually once did a design. This was a fiber optic system, a diversity system, and basically we're looking at the benefit of TCP/IP connections, but we've got to write up what we want to prioritize with it, and then invent the network that can actually test that out. And Wi-Fi is wireless. That's fantastic until it doesn't work.
I got to say, the other day I had it, because I've been playing around in my free time with the sort of cellular 4G version of this, which I'll show you guys one day. It's not quite there yet. But what's interesting is that when you go cellular, you don't need TCP. You can use UDP, because there's already security insofar as you're using your own SIM card. It's hard to spoof a cellular device. But what's interesting for me is that UDP is a sort of connectionless. All the issues we have with MQTT, or I've had anyway, is to do with this sort of handshaking and exchanging of certificates and all this latency involved. It's, I'm not saying we change now, but it might not have been the best protocol in some areas. In other areas, it's great for security. And we don't use the quality of service stuff, which is mainly built for retention of messages, because we don't want to retain messages. The earthquake has already gone. But we do, suffer a penalty with all of these, other issues that we wouldn't have with UDP. But anyway,
I just to provide some insight on that. I worked on a product a couple of years ago where the basis of it was a watering system, but the basis of it underneath it all was UDP. The challenge with UDP is just knowing that you've got the data to the far end. So you have to build that handshake protocol on top of it. You get a lot more, in a sense, data going through, but you don't know that it hasn't gone through. So if you've got a system that's on the edge, UDP is more likely to succeed, but you've got to have the layer of software in there to deliver when you need it to be delivered.
Right.
So technically TCP/IP handles that because it's a pipe, but I've had links that have been up on TCP/IP, and you then got to start doing stuff with the keep alive. So, you have to make sure that the keep alive runs every day. And then I actually ended up rebooting the systems every day. And I found that in the network, Comcast was rebooting at 3 a.m. in the morning. So, I'd have a link up over a Comcast system, a Comcast system it was, and then it would reboot and the TCP/IP wouldn't recover from it. I'd have to, so keep alive. So there's a bunch of issues in there that TCP/IP isn't as perfect. But I think for what everybody's doing right now, the work for going to UDP would be a separate sort of reliability type thing. And, it's more about what is it that you're expecting of the link and characterizing it.
Right. Yeah, all of that makes a lot of sense. I guess I wasn't suggesting we jump ship, but if we do one day go to cellular, which I think we will, as a variant, I think not having to have that handshaking when you wake up a device, that it can instantly send a message, might help us with latency, battery power, and all of that.
Yeah, so LTE, long-term evolution, does tend to solve a lot of that, but you've still got the basic issue, which is that when So there's a speed and reliability issue. You want to detect the earthquake, or you detected something, and now speed is everything. The delay is everything. So what I think applies to all of these protocols is you've got to have a test on that link going on periodically. I don't know whether it's every hour, but then some sort of goodness for the link. So in the telecom era, before even the digital side of things, having a bit rate for analyzing the goodness of the line was standard, and that was where the telephones were expensive, because there was a lot of people having to work to keep the analog lines reasonably good. But we've now got to emulate that in some way. You've got to say, hey, I've got a link periodically, and is it good? And maybe that's on an every, if you've got a cellular system and it's a cost basis, can you afford to keep it connected all the time? And in some cases, maybe that's important for doing testing, but it would be a cost analysis. Whereas on the other hand, you say, hey, I've got a 50 megabyte link, which, Verizon's offering at the moment, 50 megabytes a month for $6. And so you can deliver a lot of data over that. And if you can aggregate it over a number of systems, you can take a burst on it, okay? But where is the cost point? I'll just throw that out there. So
yeah, I hear you. But yeah, so that's for the future, right? Right now, we have MQTT, we have Wi-Fi or Ethernet. We've got to make them work for Puerto Rico as soon as possible. So one question to Pedro is: were you able to get in touch with Annie? I saw an email about whether you could help with the updating of the firmware.
Yeah, so I have scheduled to go to their office tomorrow from 10 to 12.
Oh, awesome! Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'll give an update once I go over there, and if I need any help, I'll reach out. So just a heads up that I'll be working on that tomorrow morning. Anything
you need from me, you just message me and let me know, okay?
Perfect. Sounds good. Probably afterwards, we have to figure out if we're going to just send them all to the seismic network, or if we're going to keep a few over here. I think that's the next step. Right.
So no, the seismic network only have about 14 sites at the moment. So
14.
Yeah. So I think initially, we need to send a couple to Dr. Huérfano, or rather, I don't know how it's being done there. I don't know if he was going to pick them up, or Annie was going to send them to him, or he was going to get them from you, or we'll just have to come to some sort of agreement there. But he wanted to see one or two, because he's starting to put his name, or the name of the Puerto Rico Seismic Network is being put to this project, and he's rightfully so thinking, what are these things? Are they any good? And so I think he has to at least hold one and see it and look at the data.
Yeah, definitely. Let's connect offline to see if he can get his hands on a few, at least 14 of them.
Great.
Do you think, in that situation, just being able to prove the upgrade is what's really valuable? Because if you've got something that's going into a remote location, particularly somebody who's looking at a technical aspect of it, the earthquake, you want to be able to just make sure that upgrade happens.
Oh, you mean the over-the-air updates?
Yes, over-the-air updates.
Yeah. So we had tested it before, and I had tested it before, and it worked. But I know that John has been fiddling around with it. So we really need John to answer that question, right? Where are we with the over-the-air updates? And is there anything that I can do to help test it further if we need to? Because I know that a few things changed. I think he even changed the library for OTA, and I think he also changed the endpoint for the binary. So yeah, that's an issue.
So I just think I would suggest that that customer side, especially when you're looking at the technical aspect of the earthquake measurement, you just want to be able to have that over-the-air upgrade guaranteed to work. And perhaps make sure that it's, I would guess Ethernet, but I don't know. That's maybe asking a lot, but just that baseline, and that way there's a solid aspect of the communication side. But if you go out into the field and you don't get those OTA work, if the OTA sort of stutters. But and I think what it takes is always a couple of times through, because there's always things that you find that happen. And like John, I think it was a new certificate he was seeing that he had to put on there. So
that's right. Yeah, that's right. I couldn't use the old certificate. You had to give me a new one for the spiffs. Mm-hmm.
So having, at least on I've always found, when I'm sending out to somebody or something, and being able to stage it a little bit, just to be clear on what the minimum, level of support is. And people usually love it. I mean, for what I've been with people, this is more technical, but they love it if they can get the technical support. And if things go wrong and they can get the technical support, it just works. You can use the place as an evolution for the more difficult side of things, but you've got to have the ability to do the technical support, the upgrade, or
right. No, right. You are. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's a good point, because some of the ones that the Seismic Institute are installing to are in really remote locations, and it would be a wasted opportunity if we didn't get the OTA working on time. Agreed. So anybody else want to comment about something today? Václav, Ryan, Johnny?
No, just to let you know, I have to juggle my time a little bit, because I did ask about school. School does not take that much time, but other stuff does. I might have mentioned it before. I probably did, but I also code for a Discord bot now. Not just any Discord bot, the largest one in existence, which is pretty cool in my opinion. But it does take a lot of time. But I do have time for OpenEEW as well, still.
And you should get a t-shirt that says, like, it's just not any Discord bot.
Yeah, I should get that on a t-shirt. We should put that on the staff one.
Yeah.
If you ever get those. No, but I think that's I don't have anything to mention. Although I do still think, if anyone else has not taken care of it yet, I do think I have to remove the non-clickable thing. Or was I supposed to do that? Because I think, Ryan, you said that we were going to need to have the background still be interactable if you have the side panel open, but I thought my logical conclusion was, if you have it open, that you're not supposed to be messing with anything in the background. So has anything been decided on that front?
Ideally, yeah. I mean, Kristen just said too that it should be interactive. So if you have a chance to change that, go ahead and do it. If not, we can. I know you mentioned that it was just a div there that was preventing that interaction. So it's probably not. We can probably just on the next PR, whoever does it can just take out that div.
Yeah.
But yeah, ideally you'd want it interactive, just because you don't want that sort of annoying thing where you have a panel open, but you can't click anything else on the screen.
Yeah, that's fair enough. If anyone else does get around to it first, I think it's in sensors.js.
Sensors.js?
Yeah, I think. I'm not 100% sure. Because I think what I did is I had an update property that I was passed on to the component of the side panel. This is pure memory, so I might just be wrong. Oh god, people are spamming again. Not my problem, I'm in a meeting. I have to minimize this because I can't see this. Anyway, what was I saying again?
It was in probably Sensors.js.
Yeah, it's supposed to Sensors.js because I think I pass a property down to that listens for changes, and then it hides it or shows it. I think it's the state as well, which I pass down as a property. Mm-hmm. So it's that's where it'll look. And if not, it's gonna be in the sensor side panel, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. We'll track it down. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen in that sensors page over the next bit of time. Hopefully, the next few days, because we actually need to make all those sensor connections live. Yeah, right now I'm trying to figure out. I mean, just to give you an update on what I'm doing. So I'm sort of between the website, which I'm trying to get to be somewhat functional, and then adding the MQTT connection to the dashboard. So I'm trying to get both of those done. I'm trying to put a bit of work into those today and tomorrow. So I might come across that Sensors.js page fairly quickly today or tomorrow.
that case, I think you might just be able to take that. If you don't figure it out, which is unlikely, but if it does happen, just let me know. I'll take care of it.
Okay. Sounds good.
Just make sure that you don't accidentally break the. So what I did is I added also a class to the body with document.get element or get element by, I don't think it was by ID, but you get the point, because I don't think bodies don't have an ID. Anyway, no, it's document.body. I'm a web developer, guys. I'm not an imposter. Sorry. No, but I think I added a class to the body so it wouldn't show the scroll bar, because having hid the actual, having prevented people from clicking through, I also made it so that it doesn't actually show the background scroll bar, because I think that especially doesn't make sense. But if that does make sense to you guys, you can also just remove that code.
Okay. All right, I'll take a look at it. I try, my aim is never to accidentally break anything, but you never know, it's
Well, it's depending on whether or not you want
lower
to
success
break
rate
it,
on that.
right?
Like, what's that?
But it's depending on whether or not you want to break it, because maybe you do want to have people be able to scroll when the side panel is open.
Yeah, I'll
do you
take
think
a look
about
at it. I'll take a look at it. I
what
mean,
do you think
the
about
little
that?
changes. Scroll when the side panel's open.
Because I don't know, you're going to
Maybe.
want to be interacting with the side panel, but then again, I said that about the clicking as well. So maybe, and people disagree with that. So maybe they disagree with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take a look next time I'm working on it and see what the feeling is on it if you want to scroll. But I'd like to get the main priority is to get all the stuff working first.
Yeah, with the
and then the little. Yeah, and then go to all the sort of little interaction stuff completed. Ideally, if I could have some version of the website, so OpenEEW.com, at least functioning, so we can work on that, and the MQTT connection done this week. Next week, I could devote to doing some of the data visualization, event-related stuff that Václav and I talked about, and that we were talking about on Friday, and then that would make it so that if we're looking at my calendar here, by May 15th or 17th or so, we'd have both the events and sensors page looking pretty good on the dashboard, and the website be a work in progress. So that's what I'm working on currently.
Yeah, if there's at any time anything that needs to be done, just let me know. I'll try to find time for it. It should be possible. It's not like that I have to actually actively look for a time. It's possible.
Yeah, and I know Pedro, you mentioned also that you might want to work on the dashboard front end. I've been trying to find time to kind of list all the things that we could do with it. I just haven't gotten around to it yet, but there will be a various amount of front end work to do, both on the OpenEEW.com website and the dashboard.
Yeah. This is I think we have discussed pretty much everything then, right?
Yeah, so the OpenEEW.com, if I could just say one thing about that, so that what I'm trying to just get to work is the Gatsby side of things right now, and I can't really figure out if it's a problem with my setup or with the installer from the Carbon theme, but it gives me an error installing it from the way that they describe to do it on the documentation. So I got it to work, but we might be dealing with a slightly duct taped together version of OpenEEW.com. I don't think anyone will be able to notice it, because I think the product that you get at the end, when you actually build it at the end, will be perfectly fine and functional. But for any developers coming on it, you kind of have to change some of the settings to get it to work, and maybe keep deleting the cache file. But either way, I think it's I think it's valuable to be able to use Gatsby. So.
Yeah, you should just put duct tape as a part of under the contributors list.
Yeah.
Yeah, WD-40. Where's that code right now, Ryan? I can take a stab at trying to recreate it myself and see if there's something.
Yeah, so the only I just have it locally on my computer, but I can push it up to my own GitHub. but the place I get an error on it is actually just from the Gatsby Carbon theme website when you just use the installer. And I would actually like to get someone to try that out to see if it's something on my system. Let me put in the Slack the command to run. See if it works for you. I'll put it in general. Yeah, I just put it in general in Slack. So that's supposed to just install everything, both Gatsby and the Carbon theme. But I get some dependency errors on that.
Okay.
Well, that's always fun having errors, isn't it?
Yeah, but when I tracked it down, it was just basically it seemed like a compatibility issue that at least my version of NPM was picking up on. So I changed the versions on React and Gatsby and got it to work. It's just that now I'm scared we're not using what the Carbon theme, team wants us to actually use as far as versions are concerned.
Yeah, it's just put duct tape under a WD-40 as contributors on the list.
I'll also push this code up.
And then it was quiet.
Yeah, I just noticed.
Yeah,
I had mute on. The last thing I had is I'm pushing this code up.
Yeah, so yeah, sucking up all the cycles on my machines. It's freezing.
I don't know what I was expecting.
I was pushing the code up, but I didn't really have much to say after that. I don't know why. I don't know why. Then just staring at my computer,
I was expecting something to happen.
Typing commit. It's like, yeah, I mean that's all that's all I have to say about it. But yeah, let me know, Daniel, if that ends up working or not.
And Václav, congrats on your grant. Do you want to mention anything about your progress in Nepal?
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, that's exciting. We got some funding. It's not a huge amount of money. It's like $50,000, but it's definitely enough to get it underway and deploy those 40 sensors that so far I got 20 in here. So I'm putting those together, trying to connect together charging module with the sensor and batteries and solar panels, and try to figure out the best way how to do these sensors. But yeah, the funding it's not a huge amount of money, but it will get us quite far. It's not a giant project, and I think that once the stations are on the ground and the data is streaming live, it's going to be much easier to find more funding, or hopefully, because at least that's what our colleagues in Nepal hope for.
Are you gonna go out there?
For sure, yeah, for sure. I mean, I can't miss that.
Nice.
That would be great.
Where are they based? Where in Nepal? Is it?
It's going to be central Nepal, so it's kind of like west of Kathmandu. So the big earthquake in 2015 was started about 100 kilometers west of Kathmandu and then propagated eastwards. So this region for the network is west of that area. So it's going to be like from Pokhara up to pretty much Chinese border. So it's going to be Annapurna Valley and yeah, beautiful places.
I did some trekking there when I was a young man. It's the most beautiful landscape I think I've ever been in.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, we did some deployment after the station deployment after the 2015 earthquake. So I've been to those places too, and I'm excited about going there back. So unfortunately, the COVID has gone like so much worse in the past 2 weeks in Nepal. So we are hoping to go late summer. So I hope that it's gonna get better till then, but no one really knows. So yeah, we'll see. But that should be, it's exciting that we got some money. Like, I still wanted to go. I had a little bit of money for one travel and for the station deployment, but now like we definitely have enough money for much more than that. So that's exciting. And regarding other stuff, I haven't really. Well, I mean, I polished some of those seismological algorithms a little bit, but like there wasn't a huge amount of progress since last week. But I got a question because we are pretty much at a spot where we like it is already like end-to-end thing, like seismology and those microservices that write the data and write the detections and events and stuff. Would it be possible to redirect somehow the Mexican stations in that MQTT? Because then we can start testing, we can deploy that. If I'm right, Adrian, I don't know if I'm like, because I'm sure that there's going to be all kinds of bugs that like we'll have to troubleshoot, and it'd be great to have.
And also we're going to get far more earthquakes in Mexico than Puerto Rico. So I completely agree. I'm more than happy to do that. I think I already subscribed to this idea. The only task is creating some sort of service in AWS, which is sort of routing data into our other MQTT broker in IBM. That's what I've got to do. I don't know if maybe we have an offline conversation about this and we look at this together, because it's a bit fiddly, but it should be okay. Like we're already doing it because we're already routing it to the Open Data program. So we just have to create another similar service which does that to an MQTT broker.
I mean, I'm happy to do that.
Like an MQTT bridge, I think they call it. Sorry?
Okay. Well, we can discuss this. And
I would love to do that. I think that's a great idea. So let's have let's have a call. Let's have I'll send you a message afterwards, and maybe I don't know if Adrian, if you have any time and you can help us think through the best way to do this. We can have a call.
Let me know when you guys want to meet. I mean, I think the seismology reoccurring meeting ended, but I can do another one of those, a series of those, and we can talk about it then if you want.
Okay, let's have a chat, the three of us, in Slack, and then we'll find a moment.
Can I join in on that, because the dashboard is going to rely on, I'm planning on putting the Mexico network on the dashboard, and a lot of the stuff that's going to end up on the events page is going to come from the Mexico network. So I'd just be interested in knowing what happens to those sensors, if they get added to the database or not. So
the one thing is that I'm sort of loath to touch the firmware on the sensors. That it's a completely different bit of hardware, even though it's the same accelerometer. So there's some things which won't be the same. For example, the messages that we get. I don't know, any of the sort of anything which is not the accelerations, anything to do with the status of the device is done differently in AWS than it is done in IBM. So we'd have to sort of translate between the two. I'm sure we can work it out. Yeah, why don't we have a call then? Whoever wants to join, I'll put it in Slack, and we can. I'll show you how it's done in AWS, and we can see if we can find a way to translate it.
There's definitely going to be a little bit more latency, right? That is associated with this, but it's
not much, a second or something.
Yeah, it's not too critical.
Half a second. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that I have anything else otherwise. Yeah, we had a good chat with Ryan last Friday about displaying events and stuff, and unfortunately I missed the dashboard meeting, so I don't know if this has been discussed in there, but
I flawlessly conveyed your seismology knowledge to the
You did?
I think I bored you to death. So.
No, I was really so that's my favorite stuff to talk about. Is just sort of the statistical analysis of all that kind of stuff, and I found it really interesting. No, I probably got a ton of it wrong when I was describing it at the dashboard meeting, but a lot of it just boiled down to like Václav's doing a lot of cool things here.
Funny math stuff.
Yeah, that's a lot of math. He's doing a lot of science.
Yeah, I want to make it look that way.
Okay. Well, we've hit 3 o'clock, guys. So if that's it, we'll plan a meeting in Slack for the Mexico network, and Ryan, let me know as soon as we get to the point where I can start sort of writing things into the new document site, or even if it's something on your server, however you want to do it. If it's just a place that I can put it in, I'm happy to start doing that as well. So you let me know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so that repo that I have on my own GitHub repository. I mean, I can always change the ownership of that at any time, or we just take the files from there and put it in something in the OpenEEW one, so it's not associated with my account.
But it's going to be a pain for me to create an instance of that myself, or I can just.
You could always just. The trouble is I need to figure out what you're going to be editing first. That's kind of my first goal.
I just want to add Markdown stuff and add pages. Just pages in Markdown. That's what I want to add.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I mean, if you wanted to, I can give you the. I just posted it on Slack in response to Daniel's thread, but I can also post it. Do we have a Slack channel for the website? I forgot. Oh yeah, so if you grab it off of that thread,
I can see
it in there. I just put it up, but if you want to, if you want to fork that, you could always, or I can just give you collaborator access to it. You can add whatever you want to Markdown. It's not going to show up on the pages, but even knowing what you want the Markdown to look like would help me kind of try and figure out where it should all go on the page.
Yeah. Okay. So let me work on the Markdown independently then for now, and then once I've got a few pages done, I'll just share them with you.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. I'll make you a collaborator on the on this too, so you can just load whatever you want. Oh.
Okay.
Oh, NPX Gatsby. I was getting the path error and I couldn't figure out what the heck was going on.
Oh yeah, if you already have Gatsby installed, you can just take the NPX out and just do Gatsby. But I was getting the same error on both.
Okay,
I'm gonna simplify. See you all.
See you, Neil.
Yeah.
See you
Bye,
later.
Neil.
Thanks, Neil.
Error. There was an error. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a detailed one. It's like 30 lines.
Oh, I've got nothing. There's nothing. Let's see. Let me just share here. Present entire screen. Share. Yeah, nice and
nice and succinct.
Error.
It was an error. It looks like my error handling. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it went through all the other stuff just fine, and then said do the Gatsby develop, and Gatsby wasn't on the path. So then I realized it was the NPX.
Yeah. I guess it is.
Yeah.
I don't know what the best. I could open up an issue on the GitHub for the Gatsby Carbon theme, or I don't know if you know anyone that would have advanced knowledge of it or of the installer or anything like that.
Not offhand. I can ask internally on some of our internal Slack channels.
I mean, I can also just create an issue for it and see if they have something. I'm surprised that no one else is. I didn't see any issue for it already in there, and they don't really talk about, because there's Gatsby 3 out, but the installer uses 2, but no one really was asking about if 3 is compatible or not. So maybe I'll open up an issue and start the conversation on all that.
Watch out not to get flamed like I usually do when I make issues.
I know, it's always scary opening up issues.
It's like on Stack Overflow. It's like, hey, I hope I don't get killed for asking a question.
I know. Didn't you read this from 3.5 years ago?
Yeah.
Well, I hadn't seen the Gatsby theme Carbon example until I clicked on your GitHub link. It's quite nice.
Oh, the one that's up on the site, or up on Gatsby's or Carbon site. Yeah,
it's very nice.
Could you imagine that these meetings are one of the only instances of social interaction that I still have?
Yeah, I can actually. It's the same for me, Johnny. I
Except
absolutely
for
can.
school, but that's not really enjoyable, is it?
I know you're with coronavirus, so you're in school. You're missing out on some, key
No,
partying
we're still
moments.
going. We're still going to school physically.
Yeah.
In the midst of a
Oh, really?
global spikes of pandemics, we're still going to school physically. It's all fine. It's not. Because kids will behave themselves at school. They won't hug and high five each other. No, they won't wear their masks under their noses. No, of
I think
course
the
they
bigger
do.
problem is just being in a room with people for hours on hours. Yeah.
Okay. I've got to leave, so I've got to deal with lunch now. But are we good?
Yeah.
You good?
We're good. Yeah, I'll let you know how the progress comes along on the OpenEEW site.
And let me know if there's anything that requires any work.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Johnny.
No problem.
Okay, everyone. Have a nice day. Take care.
You too.
Have a good one, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
See you. Bye.